What's up everybody, welcome back. Today I'm gonna go over the top 10 things that I think you should know about if you're considering buying a Fox Body Mustang. So without further ado, let's get into it. The Fox Body Mustang production years were from 1979 through 1993. And the most noticeable difference in the model change was in the year of 1987, when Ford smoothed out the aerodynamics of the car, rounding out the front end, adding some really stylish ground effects for the GT models, and also the year that Ford introduced the EEC4 multi-port fuel injection system that sat on top an all-new high-output motor. But let's look at the top 10 things that I think you should consider when purchasing a Fox Body Mustang. Okay, so let's start with number 10, and that is body corrosion, that people try to typically Bondo over and paint over to cover up and hide. The main areas that a Fox Body will corrode will be on the hatchback itself. Usually if it has a wing, it'll corrode underneath the points of the wing where it bolts to the hatchback. Also underneath the back of the hatchback lip, because it seems to hold a lot of water that comes through that area. Another really important part is the A-pillar next to the front windshield. And lastly, just generally under the body, such as the front of the floor pans and underneath the running board areas. Those are all high potential areas of corrosion and rust. Number 9 is the battle boxes. And what I mean by that, it's the point of where the lower control arms bolt up the body. Typically, the subframe cracks in these areas, and you can easily slide underneath the car and look at that area and see if there's any cracks, anything broken there. And if there is, you're gonna have to take off that rear suspension and actually weld in new battle boxes and all that good stuff. Actually, for any Fox Body owner, I would recommend welding in battle boxes just out of the gate to just beef up that rear suspension and keep it from happening. Number 8 is the 8.8 versus 7.5 rear axle. Any Mustang from 1979 through 1985 would have a 7.5 rear axle in it. Now these are a weak link of the car. So if you're looking at buying an earlier model Fox Body, I would highly recommend upgrading to the 8.8 rear end that Ford Mustang started to have in them from 1986 on. Next is number 7, and that is the mass airflow versus a MAP pressure sensor. And that's manifold air pressure. And basically the difference between the two is a manifold air pressure sensor measures the intake vacuum coming into the motor that's being used to adjust the fuel injection system. The mass airflow actually measures the amount of air coming through the air intake system. So that's the differences. The mass airflow sensor was actually introduced later in the years of the Fox Body, I think around 1989 or so. So a lot of guys feel that the mass airflow sensor is a much better system to have because it's more accurate and a lot more tunability behind it. But you may actually be looking at like an 87 or an 88 that does have a mass airflow conversion done to it already. So that's one thing to look at. Besides, if you're gonna go full bore and really like tune up your car, you may just want to go with a standalone fuel injection system like a Holley Terminator X or something along that lines, which those systems actually use a manifold air pressure sensor, surprisingly. Number 6 is the infamous seat lean. Oh my gosh, the driver's seat is known to have ghetto seat lean, where it's actually bent and will cause you to have serious backaches when you're driving the car. And it is aesthetically unpleasing looking. If you are looking at a Mustang and it has the seat lean, the only way to correct this is to actually take all the upholstery off the frame and rebend the frame correctly. Most cases, the frame is cracked and will have to be re-welded, but this can be fixed. I fixed mine and I've fixed several in the past, so it's not that hard of a process to do. Number 5 are the quarter windows, and I'm talking about the rear quarter windows on the 1987 through 93 models that has the rubber around them. These are a replaceable piece, but you have to replace the entire rear quarter window to replace the rubber because the rubber always cracks. Now, if you can get your hands on a set of original OEM Carlite quarter windows, I would say pick those up because you can't find them anywhere. You can only buy the aftermarket Mustang rear quarter windows, which typically don't have the Mustang actually printed on the window itself. In my car, I actually did replace the quarter windows with a factory OEM set of car lights that I happened to snag off somebody online that had a brand new pair still in the box. It was like a unicorn of a find. So if you do happen to find them, just buy it and hold on to them. You may need them down the road. Number 4 is actually the 4-lug versus 5-lug conversions. Now, I have 4-lug on my car because I wanted to keep it original as possible, and now there's a lot of good wheel options for 4-lug vehicles, but back in the day, there weren't many options for 4-lug vehicles. So, a lot of guys would actually switch them out from 4-lug to 5-lug. Just be mindful, if you do come across a car that has 5-lug wheels on it, then it has had the 5-lug conversion done to it. Number 3 is the ashtray door on the center console. They always break. So if you find one that's actually fixed, perfect. But the replacement pieces are only like 15 or 20 bucks. So it's not a big deal, but it's just something that they always break on these cars. Number 2 is the high output motor. Now, throughout all the years of the Fox Body, there's been different variations of this. The earlier models had a carbureted high output motor, and usually the indicator was the air cleaner system. The air cleaners for the high outputs usually had a dual intake coming off the air cleaner went down both sides of the motor. Now, on the later generations, typically the V8 GT cars were high output, which on top of the intake manifold would have the HO on it. But if somebody removes the intake and puts an aftermarket intake on it, you don't really know what you're working with. You actually need to run numbers and all that good stuff. Also, one thing to note is the high output motors did have a different firing order for the fuel injection system on them. So if you're running a car that doesn't have a high output motor versus a car that does, if you're ever working with timing, it's completely different firing order. Last but least is number 1, and that's just general modifications done to a Fox Body. I'm sure that if you're looking for a Fox Body Mustang to buy one, you're probably looking at one that has modifications done to it already. The thing to consider though is when the modifications were done, how long ago, who did them, are they current products that are still in the marketplace today? Are they still relevant to anything? Do they even help out the car anymore? Are these items that you're gonna have to be taking off and replacing? So that's gonna be an extra cost, a lot of added time. If you do happen to find a stock Fox Body Mustang with no modifications, first of all, it's probably been sitting out in the middle of nowhere for the longest time ever, or it may be a piece that somebody was holding on to as an investment and didn't want to get rid of, so they're probably gonna want a lot of money for it. And you have to think about, are you wanting to take that type of car and modify it? Because you're just going to kill the value of it. So maybe it is better to find a Fox Body that's had some modifications done to it and that you just want to add to, or just maybe update and make better. Overall, there are a ton of tips that I can offer anybody for buying a Fox Body Mustang. If you're looking at purchasing one, there's a lot out there, from interior options to the different models, drivetrains, braking systems, wheel options, the whole 9 yards. So if you have a tip that you want to suggest, feel free to drop it in the comments below. And also, don't forget to hit that follow button. And I'll see you guys next time.